I believe that his intentions, were very noble and pure and came from a place of love in order to try to protect his child. And quite frankly, had he not spoken, none of us would have known what was going on. So, he is really a whistleblower.
Did you get a chance to talk to CD?
Not today. I talked to him, of course, yesterday quite a bit. I mean, he was already at a point before this ruling came down today where he'd had enough time in jail. Okay, This is one of the reasons I was so upset, right? Because he's my friend. So it is what it is, right?
We're here in front of the BC law courts to find out what is going to happen to the BC father who spoke out against publication bans about his story about his child who was medically transitioned without his consent. Comment below and let us know what you think Justice Taman is going to do. Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News, and the verdict is in. Justice Taman felt that an appropriate sentence for this father was to go to prison between 6 to 9 months. And yes, that's right, prison. He went through a long list of breaches, whether it be different interviews CD has done or having his name written on his funding page, and he went through all of those things. And then he decided that there are some factors he would consider to go towards the 6-month end of such sentencing. And those were the fact that there were some email exchanges that were read that proved that from behind bars, CD did make an effort along with Jen Smith to have different publications that were in breach of the ban go down, including ones that are not in breach of the publication bans because they are not in Canada. And that was one of them. He did acknowledge the sort of 180 sign of remorse that CD gave 2 days ago in the courthouse and said that it would be considered, but he was aware that it only occurred after CD was aware that Justice Taman did not think 45 days was suffice. Now, the Crown actually spoke up because after they decided that time served would be considered, Justice Taman said 135 days, so not exactly 6 months, would be what this father will be sending in prison. And the Crown stepped up and said, I think the calculation is wrong, and actually ended up helping shave 1 day off for this father. But this is crazy, guys. This is unbelievable that this is happening in Canada. Yes, he broke the law, but this is a new precedent for what's going to happen for parents who believe that they need to warn other parents about what's happened here. We're going to talk to a couple of the people that were in the courthouse right now.
A dangerous epidemic of misinformation.
Disinformation campaigns and conspiracy theories.
I'd like to ask you about disinformation.
Disinformation.
Very effective misinformation campaigns.
Misinformation.
Misinformation. COVID-19 misinformation.
Harmful misinformation.
Misinformation.
COVID misinformation.
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 Flag it.
Misinformation. Will the big four companies actually take down these harmful posts when we report them?
YouTube is in the process of removing us from its platform because we continue to bring you the other side of the story. But we're not going to stop. Please head to afteryoutube.com and give us your email so we keep going strong and we stay in touch. Drea Humphrey for Rebel News. Angelina, Jen Smith's name came up a lot in this case as one of the friends, but you're also the other friend, basically, that CD mentioned has been along his side this whole time. So how are you feeling knowing that he's going to be in prison for 134 days?
Yeah, I know it's crushing. I know that he will be, and he has been, really traumatized by everything that's happened to him. He's been dragged through the court system from the lowest trial court right to the highest court in British Columbia. At every move, at every stage, he has lost. I believe that his intentions, were very noble and pure and came from a place of love in order to try to protect his child. And quite frankly, had he not spoken, none of us would have known what was going on. So, he is really a whistleblower.
Yeah.
We now know a great deal more about what's going on in our school systems. And now we need to figure out if we want that to happen, if we want that to be going on, if we want more cases like CD and AB if we want to hold the school system accountable, because that's where it started, so, and it also brings up very important points about parental rights in Canada, right? And how parents really need to be protected, and that they need a parental bill of rights, and that they need some kind of legislation to protect them so that they are allowed to protect their children. So, a lot of very important questions came out of this case. I know that CD will be incredibly disheartened at this moment, and unfortunately we can't speak to him. There's nothing that we can say. Because of COVID, in the system right now, he sat in some days for like 23 hours a day in a cell by himself. That's solitary confinement.
Yeah.
That's cruel and unusual punishment. So he spent the last month like that, and now we don't know where he's going to go, but we'll be in touch. And ultimately, it's because he spoke that we know now what's happening. And I don't think that's not going to rest well with anybody from this point forward.
Jen, how are you feeling 134 days for CD?
Well, I'm disappointed. I mean, I tried to give every opportunity to sort of mitigate what had happened to the judge. I was hoping that it would be less than it was. But I mean, fortunately, he said that he was thinking 6 months to 9 months, and he said because of some of the mitigators, he made it to 6 months. So at least it made a difference, what I said, even though I made a lot of people angry. But
yeah, he mentioned the email exchanges that you guys had. He mentioned the remorse. He did say it did come after, CD was aware that Justice Taman said 45 days isn't quite enough. But all of those things did come into play. Now, I interviewed you, asked you for some clarification the other day, and I know you wanted to say a bit more because you said you were tired and things like that. So is there anything you wanted to add?
Well, there's not too much for me to say, except for that there's been a lot of sort of miscommunication, I think, about what I said to the court, okay? Any sort of comments or analysis about me, like people think I was attacking the right wing, right? But my statement to the court began with me saying the vast majority of what I called right-wing Christians are just good, decent, honest people, the vast majority. So any sort of analysis of what I said begins there. From that point, there are crazy nuts on the left. There are grifters on the left, but there are also crazy nuts on the right and grifters on the right as well.
And in the middle.
And in the middle as well. And so my whole point to the court was I believe that, and I did name a specific name, right? So I named and I believe that they played a very big role in what has happened right now. So a lot of his time in jail right now is a responsibility, and the head, I forget his name, Kamaker or something, he had said that should be willing to go to jail for years in order to martyr for the cause or something. So I really blamed them. And from the moment he was arrested, I said that I blamed people for what was happening.
Now, so you're naming, and there was a discussion inside of there that possibly we're going to see more bans in this case come up. They're wanting to maybe anonymize, but you have a different reason for bringing attention to it. Their reasoning is because more people might find it and see some of the information they won't take down. Your reasoning for voicing it is maybe to hold them accountable. So do you support further bans after this father is spending time in prison regarding this case?
Okay, I understand sort of the reasoning behind the court wanting to do that, in the sense that, as long as their name is out there, people know, okay, if I want all the information, if I want all the documents, I just go to mass resistance. So I understand the reasoning. However, people like me, like if I want to critique mass resistance, so am I not going to be able to name them? I need to be able to name them if I'm going to critique them, and I have, and I will. I'm not done with them. Right? So I don't think that that's a good idea. I don't think it will help anyway. So like if Rebel Media is filing paperwork to lift publication bans, that should be looked at, because I think that anonymizing a party like that should be subject to criticism, it's not a good idea.
Yeah, it just seems never ending and to be one thing after another and years later. So did you get a chance to talk to CD?
Not today. I talked to him, of course, yesterday quite a bit. I mean, he was already at a point before this ruling came down today where he'd had enough time in jail. Okay, this is one of the reasons I was so upset, right? Because he's my friend. So.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right?
Yeah, he said he did what he had to do, and he's passed the torch on, and it's heartbreaking that he's still going to have to sit behind there longer.
So now we're just going to have to try to mitigate the damage. We're going to have to go to his employer and try to sort of argue to keep his job. The funding, fortunately, is kept in place, so that will pay for his bills and stuff, so he won't lose all of his property. Fortunately, it'll probably work out to about 3 months, I guess, with good time. And 3 months can pass fairly quickly, but it's not a good way to spend 3 months. So.
And, the justice did say he doesn't find it's necessary to give him probation once he's out, so that's good. You mentioned a bit of monetary there. He did say that $30,000 would be, CD would have to pay $30,000 towards Ronald McDonald House at some point. I would have liked to have seen that gone to CD's child in some sort of trust. I think that was maybe missed there, but there is some left over, correct?
Yeah, that was the Crown's idea, was that it shouldn't go to his daughter, or he didn't want the money to become a bone of contention where it went to one side or the other. So I think that was kind of sensible. The Ronald McDonald House thing was just sort of like he didn't know.
It came out of
it came out of thin air.
Yeah.
But we can still raise money for him. Like if I'm allowed, what I would like to say, if anybody wants to donate money to the father, make sure you donate to his account and not to some extraneous account. If Rebel Media is running a legal campaign, support that. But if you want money to go to the father, give it to his account.
Well, thank you so much, Jen.
Okay.
All right, and so, yes, we are, in fact, still not going to stop challenging these bans. We feel like there was far too many, that they're far too restrictive, and it's never been about trying to get information about the child. We understand that. The child, I think all sides of this can agree that the child is a victim in this situation, but the story still needs to be told. There's a reason why it's gained international attention, and there's a real concern when Justice Taman is considering trying to anonymize Canadian journalists from speaking about other journalists across the world. Guys, YouTube is trying to get rid of us. We need to keep in touch. Go to afteryoutube.com right now. They can cut us off at any moment. All right, there you have it. I'll give you any update that comes across from this, like what type of prison CD is going to be sent to. But again, if you want to join us on challenging these bans that I suspect many more parents are going to find themselves wishing didn't exist, please go to letusreport.com. Everything you donate there goes to help our legal fees to Kyle Bienvenu, an awesome lawyer who's been doing an awesome job at getting us started for this challenge. Drea Humphrey for Rebel News.